that we are live. And I know that my live always starts with me going, that. Hello, everybody. I am so excited to welcome you to the WonderMama Coffee Chat. This space was created to share conversations that matter, conversations that support parents and leaders in showing up with more clarity, steadiness, and intention in their real lives. Each week, I sit down with guests whose work helps us think differently, lead more consciously, and move out of survival mode and into something more grounded. Today, I am honored to introduce you to Robin Carr. Robin is an award winning transformational speaker and the creator of the Empower Comeback. Her work centers on helping people reframe their past, reconnect with purpose, and move from overwhelm into resilience and growth. Robin will be sharing with us here on live on Facebook as always, and then we'll stop the live streaming and continue the conversation inside the Wander Mama community with our members for a more intimate conversation. And so, Robin, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the Wonder Mama Coffee Chat.
Thank you so much. I am absolutely ecstatic to be here. We planned this a while ago and I've been looking forward to it.
Oh, me too. Me too. So, before we dive in to your framework message, because I want to know what that is, I'd love to start with you. What was the moment or season that first pulled you into this kind of work on
Oh,
a personal level? Mm.
yeah. No, that's a really good one. So there was a lot of moments. Not going to lie to you, it wasn't just like I didn't just wake up one day and be like, "Oh, I think I want to do this. I think I want to help people." So my story, and I will say this very briefly, was not always sunshine and rainbows. Like it kind of there was a lot of trauma, a lot of drama, and a whole lot of things that just kind of make you say, "Why me? Why is this stuff happening? What is actually going on?" Um, I was always like the cheerleader type, but the forward facing, loved everybody, but I held a lot of secrets. And about a year and a half ago, those secrets actually, when you don't deal with stuff, they just like come out and they come out in the worst way possible. And then they're like, "Hey, you have to deal with this or you're never going to move forward." So that's what happened to me about a year and a half ago. And it didn't happen all at once, but it was very much like in my face. And there was, I went into this deepest depression that I'd ever known. Didn't even know what depression really felt like before then. And I had to start that inner work and that inner dialogue and really figuring out like, okay, what do I need to do and why and how do I get out of this? Well, I've always had this voice that told me that I needed to share my story and I needed to help others with my story. And so I started to really lean into that rather than to ignore it for the first time ever. And it just started unfolding all of these layers of things from my past. And I finally was like, okay, this is what I need to do. And so all of that combined got me to where I am today. So it got me into speaking. And originally it was just, I just want to share my story. Like, if I can do it, other people can do it too, kind of a thought process. And then it turned into the coaching and now into being an author. And it just keeps growing.
That's amazing. And I think that, I mean, but I think that's really powerful for anybody who's simply listening now, is that, we've heard, your pain can turn into your mess is your message. Um, and I know that you often say your past does not define you. And that sounds like what you're talking about. Is that true?
Yeah, so I absolutely love that you brought that up because I did a speaking competition in New York back last October. And those words just came out of my mouth. Your past does not define you, it prepares you. The whole room shifted, I shifted, and I was like, "Oh, that's good stuff." And it really is the truth. Like Once you accept that those things do not define you, they don't like dictate how much space you can take up. They don't dictate how big you can be or like it is so powerful. Just those, few little words.
Yeah. Last week we talked to Tracy Eleftheriadis, and one of the things that she uses to define or to kind of create that shift is I decide.
Mm.
Or
Hmm.
I have decided, sorry, let me quote her properly, and how incredibly that can create that shift. And so just the fact that you know, your past doesn't define you. That's really powerful, especially people who come from a lot of trauma, a lot of
Hmm.
secrets, and a lot of room to grow. Present company, of course, included.
Yes.
So, one of the things that I wanted to share with you is that a lot of the parents listening, because there's a lot of parents in this world. Did you know that? So many are doing their best. And a lot of times we're carrying our old stories, right? So they're carrying their old stories, pain, overwhelm. And from your perspective, what would you want them to understand about survival and survival mode and how to begin to move out of it? Because not everybody's going to become an author and a speaker. Yes.
No, absolutely. So, I want to preface this by telling you that I am not a parent. So just know that I am from an outside perspective. I am not a parent.
Mhm.
Um, so from my understanding of being a mom is very much like just being a human in general. So we try to carry everything. You try to make sure that your spouse is well, your house is well, your kids are well, but also you've got all of the things that you're doing. And it becomes very overwhelming and very, um, I don't know, just discontent maybe. So what I tell everyone is to start small. So if you are the type of person who you feel like you hear yourself constantly complaining, or maybe people tell you like, oh, you have a really bad attitude, start with yourself. And it's not that you intentionally have a bad attitude or that you intentionally complain. That's just life. Life happens, and that's how we know how to deal with it. But when you start talking better to yourself, that pours over into how you talk to your family, and to how you care for yourself pours over into how you care for your family and for the ones that you love the most. So when something feels heavy and it feels more like a burden than something that is exciting and exhilarating and powerful, that's your body telling you, hey, maybe this isn't for you anymore. Maybe you've been so stressed out about going to book club and church and everything else. It's time for one of those things to kind of fall by the wayside. And I know that's hard for us to hear because, especially as women, in my experience,
Mhm.
it is hard for us to be able to say, I love my book club, but it no longer serves me. It is no longer helping me. It is a stressor. I have to read the book. I have to take notes. I have to be ready for the class, whatever it is, right? Book club is just an example. Like if I'm talking to you right now, there's something in your mind that's like, oh, there is whatever it is that I could set aside. When you start to really pay attention to those things and to understand it's okay, you don't have to do everything and you don't have to want to do everything. In the chapter that I wrote, I talk about choosing what is for you and what makes you feel happy, not choosing to say yes out of obligation. And when you finally start to realize the power in that, your life becomes so much better. So whether you're a mom or you work a corporate job and you're a mom, you're an entrepreneur and a mom, like whatever you are, and or a dad, no offense to dads, um, when you start to realize like the things that really bring you joy, it spills over into everything in your life. And so it gives you that much more of an anchor. And one of the other things that I'm a little semi famous for saying is that I'm the most selfish person that you're ever going to meet. Let me,
Okay.
let me explain.
Yeah. I want to know.
So for a long time, I tried to be the most selfless person But when I gave so much of myself to everyone else and to their activities and their wants and their needs, and I neglected myself, I had nothing left to give. That's where your burnout comes from. That's where your frustration comes from. So, whatever it is that is for you, some people it's reading a book, some people it's taking a bath, going for a run, meditating, praying, whatever it is that is special for you, it's your time. I cannot stress how important that is because when I started taking care of myself, and I don't just mean working out, eating healthy, I mean really taking care of myself, I had so much more of myself to give. So now I am intentionally selfish so that I can give back more to my parents. I can give back more to my husband. I can give back more to my clients. And that shift, I mean, it changed so much in my life that I no longer felt guilt or shame for being selfish to be able to love and to give more.
I really appreciate that. And I do also appreciate that you're sharing this from a place that is not yet a mother, or maybe you won't be. I don't know. But a lot of times we don't even remember what it felt like before we were. And that we had a lot of the same things. We are prepared for it. We
Mhm.
are prepared for these things. So, and that's really nice. I have a couple of questions, follow-up questions to that. A lot of times when someone is feeling overwhelmed and all of those things are coming through, they're navigating that mental load of I can't let this person down, I can't let myself down, and are not quite at that stage where they're willing to be that selfish person when they
Mhm.
figure out, they're not at that space yet. How
Mhm.
would you suggest that somebody notice that that's happening? Because a lot of times what happens is that turns into that overwhelmed turns into helplessness. So how do we
Mhm.
turn that into empowerment and hopefulness?
Yeah, so I tend to think of it kind of like a spiral. I feel like that a lot of people are familiar with that. They have one overwhelming thing and then it just kind of spirals into the rest of their life. So I do have a BS in psychology, and a lot of what I speak about, actually, I pull from that. So one of the biggest helpful tools, and it's very simple, is when you start to feel that way and you start to, you know, and I'll talk about noticing in a minute, but when you start to really feel that and you feel that strain and that tension, think or say out loud the word stop. Literally, just like stop it. And it sounds like you're not allowing yourself to feel or be what you need to be, but it actually, the brain is a wonderful magical tool. And when you think or say the word stop, imagine yourself driving to a red light. The word stop forces you to stop. It forces you to stop that train of thought. And then when you think the next thought of, okay, I can't control everything. I don't want to let these people down and I don't want to, drop anything through the lines or anything like that. But what I can control is this, and give yourself some kind of positive feedback to the things that you are doing right now and you're doing them so well that you're holding them together. And then when that next thought is positive, that's your green light. Now you can turn right and go, towards more positivity and stop that spiral, or you can just keep going down that straight path and be like, well, that was fun, and then um, continue straight down that spiral. So that is something that it's so powerful, and it's cool to actually feel it and to have it stop. But to start noticing that, your body gives you a lot of cues. Um, Tightness of the chest, feeling anxious, feeling that overwhelm, feeling like whatever you do is not enough, and that there's not enough hours in the day. There's not like I used to say, I wish there were 8 of me because then I could do enough. But then I realized that even if there were 8 of me, it would still not be enough in that mindset.
Mm.
That's what you start to notice. And when you start paying attention to yourself, I have a friend of mine who is a mom, and I talk to her and I'm like, talk to yourself like you talk to your children. When your child comes home from school and they are anxious about a test or they're crying, they're upset, you don't badger them to say, "Well, what's wrong with you? Like why can't you handle this?" honey, it's okay. Tomorrow's a new day. You're going to do better. Like that conversation internally it's transformational and it matters because, that helps you be more aware.
Yeah.
You just have to pay attention to the signs.
I really like that. I like the simple interrupter, that the interrupter and choice, because that's what you're talking about is when you recognize that is happening, there's an interrupter. And many people use it in many different ways, and it also helps with anxiety. It's the same, an
Exactly.
anxiety attack can be like, name four things that are red, just an interrupter, and then it gives you access to that choice. I also love that, speak to yourself like you speak to your children. And and I know that this is part of your reframe, but like there is there is a level of kindness that many people are not good at sharing with themselves.
Hmm.
Kindness with accountability, setting boundaries for yourself, of like holding yourself accountable is also there. So I'm like, grace, but not too much grace. But the kind of grace that's kind
Hmm.
is really, really important. And entrepreneurs know about that, and moms know about that, but often not for themselves. So I really, parents in general, that's really, really important. So thank you so much for that. I am going to ask you two more questions before we stop the live stream and go inside the Wonder Mama community. Because, purpose can feel really big and
Hmm.
abstract. When life gets busy, people talk about how hard things are. Um, how do people reconnect with their why in a way that feels practical and grounded and not overwhelming when that happens?
I love this question. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, in my darkest moments, a year and a half ago, and I was asking myself sort of the same question. And what kept coming back to me was what makes me happy? What brings me joy? What are the things that if I had nothing else in the whole world, if I got up tomorrow and that's all that I had, that would be enough for me to want to get up and to show up and to be my best version of myself? Most of the time those answers, and I would venture to say pretty much all the time, as long as you're being honest with yourself, those are the things that are your why. For me, it's my husband. It's the life that we have together. It's, all of those things, but it also, and you can have more than one why. I don't want anyone to tell you that like, oh, you choose one and that's it. That's your purpose. That's all. Um, Whatever gives you that warm fuzzy feeling where you're like gets you really fired up and that passion just comes out of you. Like my other one was if I wish that during all of my trauma drama blah 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 stuff that I would have had someone like me to help me and to be there as a shoulder to cry on, an accountability partner, someone to inspire me, motivate me, or, whatever that looks like. And they're my why. Those people who need my message that I know I can help, that, you know, they don't know what they need, but they know they need something. Those people they're my why because I never want anyone to feel alone or helpless or hopeless or any of those things or stuck or afraid to make necessary moves like I did.
Mm. It's really important to talk about that through that lens, because as a coach, you want to be like, hey, I have this flashlight for you,
Mhm.
and I know a really good path. Would you like me to show you? And in the beginning, people are very scared, like,
Mhm.
to do that. And just that is your why, that is your why is super incredible. Um, and so thank you for sharing that. It's one of the reasons I became a coach too. I wanted to be what I needed back then.
Mhm.
So I don't want to leave this conversation, the public one, without you telling us and walking us through how the Empower framework supports real transformation, especially when someone feels stuck or discouraged. And I feel like you've been touching on it, but tell us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm going to give you the steps first, just what each letter actually means. And then I'll kind of concisely share. So empower stands for embrace, mindset, purpose, ownership, worth, elevate, and resilience. Now, you're like, okay, those are a lot of words, like, great. But when you really sit down and think about them, they work together and they take you on a journey. And you're able to build on yourself, but you're also able to start seeing things through a different lens, like you mentioned. And you're able to have directional transformation without it feeling like a command. So there's a lot of without judgment. There's a lot of knowing your self worth, knowing your value, and like resilience, especially, is allowing yourself to recover and to rise without, being like, oh, well, forget that part. It never happened. Like it obviously happened, and there's a reason that it happened. But the way that you carry it is different. And so when I came up with the Empower framework, I wasn't sure that I wanted it to be Empower because that is, I feel like it's done a lot. But that's exactly what happened is that I used everything that I thought happened to me, flipped the script, and was like, no, this empowered me to do exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. So there's a lot there. We can talk about it, but there's a whole lot there.
No, I just want for today, I mean, for today, I wanted people to just get an idea of what you do for people and the space that you hold for those that you get to serve. And so, how does someone find you?
Yeah, so that's super easy. On all the socials, I am the Robin Carr. And I just launched my brand new website, which is thriveunapologetically.com. There are still some things that are under construction, so bear with me, but thriveunapologetically.com. You can book a call, reach out to me on Facebook, like anything really. I'm always open and I'm always here for you.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Well, thank you so much. We're going to get ready to take this conversation on the inside. And so I wanted to thank you so much for being here today, for agreeing to go live with me with just questions that you didn't even know I was going to ask. That was great. So we're going to stop the public stream and continue the conversation inside the Wonder Mama community. And so for those of you who are watching, who have caught this either live or on the replay, if this was helpful to you, come join us on the inside so you are part of the whole conversation. And if you feel really good with just catching this, join us every single Wednesday right here live on my profile page. Let me know if you want to make sure that you are here. We meet at noon on Wednesdays, noon Eastern. And also, when these Facebook makes our lives go away, so when this live goes away, you can find us also this recording on the Wonder Mama YouTube channel. So that being said, thank you all so much for being here and let us know you saw us at live. And if you want to be in, comment underneath this video, let me in, and I will get you all of the information. So thank you so much. And here we go.